Your 20s will try and convince you that you need this to be confident and you need this to be beautiful and you need this to be stylish. Well, I'm here to tell you that is all a lie. Well, most of it, that is, because if I could go back to my younger self and tell her what I know now, I most certainly would. Hi everyone, welcome back to my video. My name is Sabrina. I normally discuss luxury high street fashion with a little bit of beauty, but today I'm going to be mixing both of those with some self-confident tips because I want you to be the most stylish version of yourself, but also the most confident version of yourself. As I'm filming this, it is a Sunday, it is snowing outside, so let's get cozy and have a real discussion, okay? Let's get real. I am turning 30 this year, yes, the big 3-0, although I'm actually quite excited. I feel like maybe that'll be a little bit different when I'm actually turning 30, who knows? But it did get me thinking in terms of the things that I did in my 20s and the mistakes that I made when it comes to style, beauty, and self-love. There are so many things I look back on and be like, why did I do that? Or why didn't I do that? But at the same time, life is about trial and error and we learn as we grow. And you know what? I don't want to look back on those years and regret anything, which I don't. I just feel like if I were to tell my younger self the things that I know now, that maybe I wouldn't have made those mistakes. Who knows? So that is exactly what this video is going to be about. I'm going to tell you 12 things that I wish I knew when it comes to style, beauty, and self-love. This is going to be big sister wisdom, okay? The things that I wish I could have told my younger self. Let's get into it. I'm going to break this video down to 3 categories: style, beauty, and self-love. Starting with style. The number 1 style tip that I wish I knew sooner is that you do not need to buy into every single trend. In my early 20s, I felt the need to keep up with trends, even though honestly, they weren't even my style. I was wearing so many things that I look back on and I'm puzzled. Why on earth was I wearing such things? The idea of keeping up with the Joneses is real, okay? And I feel like when it comes to fashion, especially in your early 20s, you need to keep up. Or at least that's what I thought, and honestly, I look back on it now and I have no idea why I thought that way. Maybe there is pressure to fit in, maybe there is pressure to always stay on top of things. I was not even doing fashion content in my early 20s. I enjoyed it nonetheless, but I wasn't actively posting like I am now. I take this as my job. In the past, this was absolutely not my job. I was just posting to have fun. But I look back and I wasted so much money on things that were just not my cup of tea when I was just trying to fit in. Now I have a good understanding in terms of when I see a trend, if it's going to last long or if it's just going to be a micro trend. If I know a trend that is going to last and I actually do really enjoy that trend, then I have no problem investing in that trend. Whereas previously I was investing in trends just because they were a trend. I mean, that was the only criteria needed. As long as it was a trend, okay, say no more. I was invested. Finding your personal style is much easier said than done, okay? I mean, this is not about finding your personal style, but once you evolve and once you do find what works for you, it makes it easier to understand the trends that you want to invest in and the trends that you have no desire to invest in. Every single trend is not going to be for you, and if every single trend was going to be for everybody, we would all look the exact same and life would be quite honestly boring. I promise you, in a year, even in a couple days, okay, no one is going to notice if you did not partake in a trend. That being said, what I do know now, which I did not know then, is be ultra picky. And it is okay to be picky, and I say it all the time, like, be picky when it comes to fashion. Maybe don't be a picky eater, okay? No one likes a picky eater, but the pickier that you are when it comes to what you choose to bring into your wardrobe, the easier it is to define your personal style and obviously to get ready and to know what you truly love. If you are buying everything because it is on trend and because other people are wearing it, you have no self-identity. You have no idea what you truly love. You are just going off the backbones of other people, which is not staying true to yourself. And you need to stay true to yourself when it comes to life in general, but also how you dress and how you present yourself in the world. Which leads me to my next point, because if you're going to buy something, make sure that that item can be worn with many things in your wardrobe, not just one. When I look to buy something, I try to see if I can wear it with at least 6 different outfits, at least. Because if I can visualize 6 different outfits, to me, that's enough to know that that piece is going to be used with many things in my wardrobe throughout many years. However, I don't think this applies to everything. Let's just say, for example, occasion wear. Maybe you're not going to wear your engagement dress 8 times in a year. Okay, there's exceptions to the rules in all cases. So that concludes my second learning. Think before you buy. Ensure that that item is going to get the most use, the most bang for your buck in your wardrobe. Because the worst thing you can do is invest in an item and it just sit in your closet and not be worn. collecting dust. That is the worst thing. Number 3, understand the pieces that you love and the pieces that you don't love. Now, this is easier said than done, and I do think this will take time. Now, as an example, I absolutely love blazers. I have loved blazers since, I want to say, the very beginning of high school. And I remember wearing a blazer one time to high school and everyone just staring at me because I looked so posh and so presentable in comparison to what, you know, average 14-year-olds were wearing at the time. But that's exactly why I did like them, and I didn't know that at the time, but now I look back on it and I love them so much because they give me the confidence. Versus it's the exact same for things that you do not like. Understand why you do not like those items. What about those items make you kind of go back, you know, take a step back? Why don't I like these pieces? What is my vendetta against that piece? Okay, understanding why you do and you do not like items makes it so much easier when you are going to go make that purchase. Get rid of the pieces that do not suit you and invest in the pieces that do. Even if you are not feeling confident in the membrane, okay, you will at least look confident. You will at least look like you are owning that room. Understanding what I do and do not like honestly took some time. I don't know why it wasn't very easy for me. I don't like denim shorts because they ride up and they're uncomfortable AF, but I do like a linen short. Actually, I would prefer not really wearing shorts in general. I prefer skirts, but that's besides the point, okay? Understanding what you do and you do not like will prevent you from buying stuff that just is gonna sit in your wardrobe that you are not gonna actually wear. You gotta invest in yourself, invest in your coin, and invest in your wardrobe. If you are not investing in your wardrobe properly, okay, you're wasting money. And the last lesson I learned, I feel like I really learned this the hard way, is dress for yourself. The person who called you overdressed is calling you out because they decided not to put an effort into their outfit. They are just mad. They are mad that you are looking better than them. End of story. Just because you stayed true to yourself and they decide to forego themselves does not mean that you need to dress down to please them. Do not let people bring you down and dim your light because they decide to dim theirs. I have showed up to so many events looking underdressed to trying to please the people who I knew were going, who would be underdressed. Sometimes it's way more about what you're wearing, okay? Sometimes it's your light, your energy, what you bring to the table. Sometimes people are just envious over that. So wear what you want to wear and wear it for yourself. If it makes you feel so good, so confident, so great, wear it. My battery just died, so if my camera moved, that is why. But let's get into beauty lessons. Besides the obvious, you know, wear sunscreen, drink more water, take your makeup off before you go to bed, okay, the obvious. But one lesson that I honestly did not understand in my early 20s was less is more. From someone who has very sensitive skin, I've had eczema my entire life, you would have thought that maybe I would have understood this, but I didn't. I did not need a full 10-step skincare routine. What on earth was I doing? Because now that I'm in my almost 30, I use a toner, serum, moisturizer, what else is there? Sunscreen, obviously. And you know what? That's actually it. So that's 3 to 4 products I use on my face max, excluding one of my tips that I'll get into later. But having so many steps in my skincare routine, looking back, completely destroyed my skin. Looking back, I'm like, why am I having so many blemishes? Why is my face so red? Why is my face feeling so dry and sensitive? And that is exactly why. Everyone's skin is going to be different, but if you struggle and if you have very sensitive skin, maybe tone it down a little bit. Maybe less is more. Side note, if you also do have very sensitive skin, maybe cut out perfume entirely of all skincare products. Life-changing. The second tip that I wish I knew is the food that you eat is more important than the skincare, especially if you have a very sensitive skin. So the time where I had the period dermatitis flare-ups and the times where I had eczema flare-ups, I actually went to a naturopath and I did a couple testings on the food that I was eating. So I did a food test. I don't actually recall what they were called in Canada. I'll insert on the screen. This test, although it was an investment, was absolutely life-changing for me because it told me the things that I was intolerant to and the things that maybe I should not be eating. I will say that I am not actually the best at it. I definitely still do eat a lot of the foods that maybe I should not be eating, but I just eat them in moderation. I'm not overflowing like I was before. If you are someone with eczema or someone with very sensitive skin and you're just not understanding why you have these flare-ups and why they will not go away, 9 times out of 10, or actually really 10 out of 10, it's the things that you were ingesting into your body. Now, unfortunately, it's not like you can just cut them out and, you know, your skin will be perfect. It does take a while. I had to cut them out for 3 months see what was really causing the issue, and then if it wasn't that, test out something else again. It's very trial and error. Unfortunately, it is the way it is, but if I could look back on my early 20s and just cut out the foods that I really should not have been eating, then my skin would have been so much better and I would have felt so much more confident, because there is nothing worse than having your self-esteem diminish because of the skin that you have. Having terrible skin has a very negative effect on your self-esteem. You cannot tell me otherwise. When I had my most severe flare-ups of periodic dermatitis, I felt so insecure leaving the house, and this lesson is probably one of the things that I wish I knew the most in my early 20s. Number 3 is avoiding too much heat on your hair. I look back before my Dyson Airwrap. I know people are very much like, we don't like the Dyson Airwrap, but we do like the Dyson Airwrap. I personally really enjoy it. There's definitely some flaws, not gonna lie, but overall I would say it's a very good product. I got my Dyson Airwrap about 3 years ago, and I want to say from elementary school up until 3 years ago, so I want to say maybe like 15 years minimum, I would use a straightener constantly, almost every single day. And when I would go to the hairdresser to cut my split ends off, I would always comment, my hair just feels so dry, please help me, why is my hair this dry? And I look back and it was most definitely because of all the heat that I was putting on my hair. And I think it really took about a year of not using a straightener, using lots of oils on my hair, really taking care of my hair for me to see results. I don't feel like my hair is super brittle. It's going to fall off the second I touch it. And the last and final tip in the beauty department is to invest in an LED mask. I know, jump scare, okay? It's a little bit scary. This is the QURE LED mask that I bought last May. So it's been almost a year that I've actually owned this, and I use it every single day. Shameless plug, but I have an entire video on this, but I will also insert a photo of what my skin looked like last April to a photo that I believe I took about a month ago. Night and day difference, and my god, if there was one product where I could say my money has been totally used, is this LED mask. I also bought my mom one for Christmas. I absolutely love this thing. Knowing the results that I have now, I do believe having this in my early 20s would have saved me from being very insecure about my skin. Nothing but good things to say about this mask, and I feel like I've rambled on about this mask a lot in a lot of my videos, so that's enough of me. Now let's talk about self-love. One of the things that has really taken me the longest to understand, and something that I'm still understanding, is stress. 1000% stress was the reason why I got sick in December. I was severely ill, and that's just because I was doing too much. I was doing TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, what else was there, Instagram. I was just taking on way too much. I also have a full-time job. There was just so much on my plate that I feel like I was going a million miles per hour, and I never stopped. I will work until I'm tired, and then I'll go to bed, but I will work constantly, which I'm totally okay with. But I also do know that everyone needs breaks, no matter how much of an overworker you are, okay? You deserve a break, you need a break. And what I could tell my younger self is just to slow down a little bit. You know, not every single thing can be done in the same 24-hour day. And that is okay. You don't need to beat yourself up over the fact that you didn't do something in the day that you're going to do. If you didn't mark something off your to-do list, it is okay. And I wish my younger self understood how bad stress is for you. Stress literally is the silent killer. The longer you are stressed, the more you are going to make yourself sick, whether you see it or not. Number 2 is meditate and journal when possible. I pull up a YouTube video and meditate every single morning. I'm not quite the best meditator, you know. In the morning I lay down, so I literally wake up, pull out my phone, and I'm still lying down. I'm not sitting up, which maybe you should do. That I just can't bear doing in the morning, but everyone is different. I feel like I can go about my day in a much graceful manner. I'm not so heated all the time. I'm not so in a rush. Well, actually I always probably am in a rush, and I just feel more happier. And that might have something to do with the fact that when your mind is actually anxious, the best thing that you can do to get rid of that anxiety at the time is to have grateful thoughts, because your mind cannot correlate the two. Your mind does not understand being grateful and anxious at the same time, or at least that's what my therapist told me, okay? Journaling is another great thing. Now I don't do this too often anymore, and that's just simply my own doing. I've fell off a little bit. I wish I could do it more. It's a great way to release anything in the moment, a great way to release any emotions that you have, but it's also a great way to look at them in, you know, a year's time and look at how far you've come. I have journals from 3 years ago that I look back on and I'm like, wow, like the things that I once pleaded for and I wanted so bad, I don't even want those in the slightest. In fact, my life has changed so much from not wanting those, and I'm so happy that it changed in that direction. But it's so nice and comforting to look back on something and be like, wow, like I came so far. And number 3 is you need to love yourself before you can love anyone else. That may be harsh, but it's the truth. If you do not love yourself, how are you expecting someone else to love you the same way that you expect? I learned this deeply in my late 20s, and I do believe it is the reason why I did not find love until after I learned to love myself. I firmly believe that. For me personally, I went on a healing journey of myself. You know, I took a whole year of just me, myself, and I devoted to actually bettering myself. And I did so through journaling, meditating, and words of affirmation, because there is nothing worse than speaking negative to yourself, because the more negative you speak to yourself about yourself, the more your brain is going to actually think that. Program your brain to thinking that you are the hottest shit, okay? You love yourself. You love everything about yourself. Even if you don't feel it in the moment, you tell yourself that you are. You also need to be disciplined in your efforts, okay? There is nothing worse than showing up for yourself one day and then neglecting yourself the following day. The worst thing that you can do for yourself is say that you want to love yourself and say that you were going to put in the work, but actually neglect doing that. And the 4th and final lesson that I wish I knew, and that I'm still honestly quite learning, is being present. I know we are all trying to progress into something better, okay, a better future for ourselves. We're always looking towards the future. You know, maybe if I put this amount of effort in today, then in a couple of years time, I'm gonna have the greatest and brightest future. I'm gonna be so financially wealthy, blah, 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 blah. Don't get so caught up in that in the future that you forget and you neglect your present day life. Because this is actually the life that you're living. You're actually living today. Live your life in the moment. Don't think about your future self so much that you forget about your present self who is working towards your future self. So there you have it. Those are the things that I wish I knew in my early 20s, and honestly some of the things that I'm still working on to this day. As always, I deeply appreciate you watching this video, and if you have any lessons that maybe we can all learn from, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to know about them. I'm gonna leave you with another video recommendation over here, and if you enjoyed watching this video, I would love if you would like and subscribe. It does mean the absolute most to me, and as always, I hope you have the utmost fabulous day. Bye guys.